One of the things we've been campaigning is something called graduated driving licences, and that's for young people, because there is a risk of young people being more likely to be killed and seriously injured on the roads because there are a smaller amount of drivers, but there's a bigger impact on them. So I'm here today because I want to, your lives are precious to me. They're precious to your families, they're precious to your brothers and sisters and people like that. I've also I can speak of lived experience, and we'll come to Mr. and Mrs. Rowlands shortly, but lived experience is really important. I was a young driver and I did actually have a collision in my first year of passing the test. My car was a write-off. It was a lovely car, and where our mechanics are here, it was a beautiful car, and my dad had done it for me. It was a Datsun 120Y, it was red, had lovely black wheels, great. And I was only in first gear, and this is the thing, it was on a night time, I was only in first gear, probably towards sort of December time. And I don't know what happened, I assumed I hit some ice, and the car spun, and it hit a telegraph pole. Everybody in the car was able to get out that car. But I did wonder to think, I was only in first gear, what would have happened if I was going 30 miles an hour? What would the impact have been? So I always think that that collision made me a better driver, because I knew that things can happen that are out of my control. So I was a lot more careful after that. One of my most important jobs that I do is I'm a victims commissioner. And sadly, you know, looking at the victims of road deaths and seriously injured is really, really heartbreaking. And Mr. and Mrs. Rowlands are with me today. Unfortunately, you know, they lost their son, Andrew, and they're going to give you some insights into that event and how they've been campaigning to really protect young drivers and to prevent anybody else having to experience the heartbreak and loss that not just Mr. and Mrs. Rowlands have to do, but their daughter is having to live with this every day. So for me, we want to prevent preventable road deaths and seriously injured. And hopefully at the end of the day, you'll go away with that information to keep you safe, to keep our roads safe, and to reduce those collisions on our roads.
We just had a conversation. Everybody's got their phone out to see the pickup time. So how many times they're picking up the phone daily on average, and how many times we've picked up so far, to kind of demonstrate that temptation of when you're driving is to then pick up and look at your phone, and also about mobile phone usage, and it's in the hours and hours per day. Some people go to work for less hours. It's it's not a dig, but it just highlights as well, like you're just an example of a small group of this room, and it's like indicating like what people your age do.
But always find that, never ever think that it's, if you sit in that passenger seat front and back, that it's acceptable. If they're driving, it's concerning you, tell them to stop. Ideally, what you said earlier, don't get in it. That's the ultimate answer. Get a taxi, get an Uber, whatever, but if you can't, just don't get in it.
He's driving, he's been a bit silly, you're starting to feel frightened, you're all having a laugh in the back. Would you have the courage to say to him, what's your name? Benji, would you have the courage to say to Benji, stop it right now, stop this vehicle right now?
Yeah, I'd say pull over, please.
You would?
Yeah.
But if say, you know, the program of learning gave you more confidence, gave you more skills to deal with difficult things, a sort of concept called my car, my rules. Yeah, you don't get into my car unless you behave in a certain way, and vice versa as being the driver.
Yeah,
would you be favourable of that?
yeah.
Okay.
I think you've got your mobile phones with you now. Yeah, right. Okay then. What I would like you to do now, just talk about this around phone safety here, is just have a look at your last notification on your phone. Yeah?
I have no.
Okay, right. Stop that. Right. I'm not really particularly interested, right, what was on that phone. Okay? So as if that took about 4 or 5 seconds to do that. Okay? So if you're in a car, how often have you seen a driver look down and check their phone? Too many times, yeah. Okay, so that's maybe what I've just asked you to do there. About 4 or 5 seconds to do. Okay, in that time, if you were traveling in a car about 30 miles per hour, you'd gone the length of a football field. Did anybody see what I did whilst you were doing that? You saw my arm moved. Okay, you've probably seen it there. Okay, 1, 2 people here. Handed him before. Okay, I nudged him to give him my phone as well. Okay, is it to do that? Why have I done that? Because that kind of illustrates that feeling of like you've gone near the length of a football field and you haven't seen what's happening in front of you. So that could be a car in front of you stopping. It could be a traffic light changing from green to red, or worse still, it could be a pedestrian coming out. Does anybody know what the law is with mobile phones in cars? So, for example, have you seen cars where you've got the phone that's in the cradle? Yeah. Okay. You might set it away with Spotify playlist going off there. Can you change that track on that? Yes. Can't. Very simple. You can't touch your phone whilst it's moving. Yeah. That's the car's what's written there. And that could be 6 points, and as you said there, that's all that hard work you've gone through for your driving lessons and insurance. It's kind of just gone, you're back to the start. And unfortunately, with increased hikes in insurance costs as well.
So an interesting question, love. Right. So one time, right, when I had to switch my cars, I put the cradle thing in, and it fell off as I was driving with my phone in it, and it was also on charge. So it was more dangerous than not touch it. So I parked up right, like front of a roundabout, right next to a police car. And we watched it happen, and I was like, I looked at him and I went, and then he went like that, but. Like any other time, a police car just saw that, do you reckon I would get the points, or would I not? Because I'm moving it so it doesn't go under my pedal or anything like that. Because if it went underground, they wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't be able to stop.
And I think probably you've done the right thing there in stop, turn your engine off, put your handbrake on, turn your engine off, and then correct it to what you need to do. And then even if it's a case where you initially put in your side door, your glove compartment, or your storage point, or in your pocket, yeah. But obviously we understand, I've got an 18-year-old son. He needs his phone for telematics for his insurance. Some of you might need that as well. So it's a case of just, it's in the car, but you just put it with. Yeah.
Would a phased approach to you starting driving, would that appeal to you? Would that be a reasonable argument? Yeah. As opposed to the current way of doing it, theory, practice, pass the test, keys, off we go. You wouldn't be, with the right information and further learning, you would be okay with the concept of a graduated phased approach. Yeah? Okay.
Part of the morning gave the young people an opportunity to try out a reaction timer. First, unimpaired, and then wearing so-called drug goggles.
So this is a heavy session on the drugs. This just shows how your reactions differ. Ready? 25 seconds as before. Ready. Go. Go. Do it properly, come on. Alcohol and drugs affect your ability to judge speed and distance, and that's because if you ever try to put
you're close and you're actually like all the way over there.
Yes, if you ever try putting a key in the lock when you're drunk, you just can't hit the wall. That's exactly what it's like, and that's the problem with driving. So that's what's going. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
The concluding discussion allowed table leaders to provide feedback from their conversations and to consider the input from the young people, most of whom appeared enthusiastic about the idea of bringing further safeguarding measures into the process of learning to drive, both before and after the test.
We spoke about antisocial driving and what everybody in the room saw as antisocial driving. Things like it is probably okay to gather with your friends in a car park and have a chat with the windows down, okay? But what you don't want to be doing is spinning your wheels in and out of that car park and flashing headlights and basically causing a nuisance to and a risk to anybody near you in the surrounding areas. Driving should be social driving, not antisocial. You have to be mindful of the surrounds you're in and what your vehicle's there for. And if you want to go and spin wheels and tyres on a car, you can do that on a rally track or a race track, but you shouldn't be doing that in Tesco's car park. So it's all about, I think for me, antisocial comes together with being respectful, and that's what you've got to be mindful of. You haven't got to be disrespectful when you're out there. Driving is a privilege, and you should treat it as a privilege and not, as you say, not be disrespectful and cause a nuisance where people are going to be picking the phone up saying there's 6 or 7 cars coming here tonight and the music's blasting, sounds like a nightclub, or can hear them wheel spinning out the car park. That's not how it should be.
It was then down to PCC Joy to bring the event to a close.
Hopefully everybody will leave here today more informed, more engaged, more insightful, and having those sort of techniques to keep you safe as well. We've got some certificates and we've got some really key things in here that'll help keep you safe on the road, especially winter. Those the tyre pressures really good. The keeping your windscreens clean is very helpful. And also if you've got, we've talked about, you know, some people have got the keyless entry. This is really good to keep your keys in as well. So thank you everyone. Thanks for your time. Safe journey, safe learning, and hopefully we'll continue that learning after this event. So thank you very much, Joe.